Hello guys, yes it's me again, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and we've got yet another video on using these lovely masks from One Man Army. This is the Hawker Hurricane Mark 2B set, as you can see, and I've been really flogging this one. So basically I started doing a video to show how to use the masks. That came out absolutely garbage, so I threw that one away, started again using this wing instead of the two Spitfire wings, and we looked at the different ways of doing it. If you go back and have a look at that one, you'll see there's 5 different methods used to do this type of roundel and the big roundel also for the wing. So then I made another video, and the plan on there was to show you, well, I asked you after the previous video which one would you like to see. Sorry, in the first video, which one would you like to see again? And this was version D. And this, what I've done here, if you go back and have a look, what I've done here, I've put all of these colours down before the camouflage, and then sprayed. The last thing I did here was painted the green and brown camouflage. Yes, I know it's the wrong colour, but it's near enough for what we're trying to look for. All of these paints are Tamiya XF colours. They're all mixed with Tamiya X20A thinners, so they're not the most strongest paint. They're not as resistant as if they were done with levelling thinners or if we used lacquer paints, but they smell less. So, and I've got lots of them, so I don't mind sort of wasting them, as it were, on this. So we've done version D, we've done the lettering, and I showed you how to get your registration codes in with your band and everything. So now what we're going to do is go back and do version B, which a few other people have asked for, at least a couple of people have asked for. And version B was where we actually put down the ring around the mask first and then sprayed in the white. If you remember version A, we completely filled the whole mask up with white paint, and obviously covering this with white is fairly difficult, so the paint becomes quite thick. You get a step around the edge, which doesn't look very good at all. So what I did with version B was put the mask around the edge and then sprayed the white paint without going out to the edge, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. So we're going to do that. We're also going to do the main roundel and put that on top of the camouflage, but this time we're going to put the red down first and then put the mask down over it and then spray the blue. The reason for that is I found that doing the red last after the blue, we ended up with a step because the red is thicker than the blue. So we're going to try to do it the other way around to see what happens. And we're also going to, in this one, look at doing the, here where we've got the S, which is covering the stencil, the number. I'm going to show you how to go about that, and if we get a chance I'll do stenciling. If not, I'll have to make a 4th video which will be dedicated to doing stenciling. So without further ado, let's get cracking. The first thing we need to do is decide on a position. Now if you want to see how to work out your positions and everything, go back and look at part 2 where I did this and I showed you how I worked it all out. With this one, I'm not going to do any precise positioning even. I'm just going to put them down in a place, and we're going to concentrate on the actual painting of the mask rather than how to position it and get it squared up and everything. So first things first, these here were the actual fuselage roundels with the box around them. Here's I've got one left of the fuselage roundel, this one here. And this had a box around it. Now I haven't got any left, so I've had to make my own. So I've made this from the ordinary white masking tape you can see there. Okay, so we're going to use that as our mask for the edge. So if we do end up with a bit of a funny edge, it's because of that, but it's just basically showing you the method and how to not get the build-up of paint. Now I've put the corners, the pieces of tape on the corners, because this white masking tape does not like sticking to this shiny brown backing at all. So this is where you've got to be careful of having your masks going on to the next one. So what we're going to do here is put this one down. Okay, so we've got a piece of tape over the front as a transfer, as you've seen before, and then I'm going to put this one down here. In fact, I'm going to put it down here, and I'm going to get the edge of the masking lined up with that panel line there. Not that it matters because it's round. And then we're just going to put that down and press it down nice and firm. Okay. Now as I say, if the edge of this comes out a little bit tatty, it's because I've actually cut this mask myself. Okay, you should be okay, but it's basically, the whole reason for doing this is to show you how to go about doing it this way without getting build up. So if you want to camouflage your model first and then put them on afterwards, that's what this is all about. So forget I've made that one, just imagine you've bought this set and you've used that one. Okay, now the other thing we need to do is, if we're going to spray white in there, we're going to get overspray all over our model, so we need to actually cover it up. So I'm going to use some of this frog tape, which is my favourite sort of cheap masking tape, if there is such a thing in this day and age. And I'm just going to come along the edge of here and just put this on, and this will stay on for the duration of the job, and that will prevent us getting overspray on the rest of our model. Okay, a piece across the bottom and then a piece down the side, just like so, and there we go, we've got that done. Alright, now if you want to, you could put some more over there, but we're just going to do that for now. So the first thing we need to do is spray in the middle white, but keep the paint away from the edge. So I've got a drop of white paint in here, and we're just going to come along and we're going to spray white into the middle, and I'm going the middle only. I'm not going to touch the masking tape around the outside at all. Okay, so there we go. Now obviously, if the reason you go out with the white is a great undercoat for the yellow, because yellow goes down on white beautifully. Yellow over this brown and green will be a nightmare to cover, so it'll probably be quite thick. So that's why we just do this. And what I might do is just come out and just fog some white there without actually painting up to the edge. And you can see I've just made a fog there to help get the yellow down. So the blue doesn't need any help at all, it covers like anything, but the white and the yellow, they need some help. So that's that. Okay, so while that white is drying, we can prepare ourselves for the next step. And the next step is going to be picking up this and putting it into there. So what we need is a transfer mask to pick this up and put it on there. Now what we're going to do is put this in here. Now we can't just put the center in, because obviously we don't know where the center is. We need to get the whole thing and align it with this circle here, and we'll see how accurate my cutting is with the size of that, but it's neither here nor there. So what we're going to do is we are going to lift this up, and then we're going to remove the blue and the yellow, and we're going to spray the yellow. Okay, we're not just going to remove the yellow, because otherwise you end up with a step. Because every time you do one, you get a step where you put the masking tape. So it's if you can blend as many colours as you can, then it stops you getting like a double step. So what I'm going to do is first of all put a little disc in the centre, and this is going to form a mask over that little centre piece there. So when we spray the yellow, we don't risk getting any yellow paint into the gap there between the red and the white. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this ring here, which is 14mm ID, 24mm OD. I'm going to put this on the mask so that when we remove the blue and yellow, hopefully they will come off together. Now if you've already seen part 2 where I did all this, you've seen all this before. It's just that the painting process is slightly different, so you might want to fast forward to when we do the roundel. Okay, so that's there ready to go, and then we can take another disc here, okay, and put this over that one. Just move it over just slightly just to make it prettier. Okay, we can put this one down over that one and give that a good rub. Okay, really good rub down on a hard surface. And now what we can do is take the edge of the masking sheet and gently lift the edge without damaging it. Well, to be honest, it doesn't matter if we do damage it, because we're going to remove it straight away anyway. What I want to do is lift this mask off. There we go. And I want it all to come off as one. And as you can see, it's all come off together because transfer tape's on there. We pressed it down hard and it's all good. And I'm probably going to have to do this under a magnifier, but we'll see how good my circle cutting was. And to be honest, it wasn't bad. It's that's worked out really well actually. So there we go. So that's gone down. Okay, so what we need to do now is take away this upper mask. Okay, so get that one off of there. You want that off straight away. Okay, the reason being, it also lifted off that little mask I put in the middle. So we're going to put one back in there. get it central so that it's not affecting any of the painting. So we'll get that one in there in the middle, as near as damn it. Okay, and now the reason I've done this is because when I put this back, I need to be able to see the center. Okay, I could just put it back using the outside, but it's the center that matters. So what we're going to do now, we're going to try and remove. One thing you could do, which I've forgotten to do, is put a piece of tape here to give you an edge to pick up. If you don't know what I mean is, we'll get a little piece of tape. Okay, it just needs to be a scrap. Okay, just like so. So before you put the mask down, what you do is you put a piece of tape under like this. Okay, and then you can easily lift that up because it's sort of sitting above. Okay, so we're going to lift this up, and as you can see, the blue is staying with it, so we want the blue to come up with it, with the transfer tape. So we're going to get underneath that blue, try and lift them out together. There we go. And with these, I always find it's best, as I said before, rather than just going, it's best to come in from the outside towards the inside, and it makes it a lot easier, because I'm learning along with you guys as well. Don't forget that. It makes it a lot easier to remove, and also then it doesn't, when you lift it up and you just go like that, it tends to separate the two rings from each other. And then we're going to put this back on here for safekeeping. Okay, and we're going to remove that piece of tape there, and then we'll come in and we'll spray our yellow. Alright, so this is Tamiya XF3, so we're going to spray our yellow in here, and we're going to get, this is concentrating around the edge, and as you can see, painting it on very lightly, building it up rather than just trying to colour it all in one. The last thing you want to do with any masking project is flood the paint, because then you'll find it creeping underneath. Okay. So there we are. I'm keeping the paint away from the centre. You can see I've got a white glow around that centre. That's done on purpose because we don't want to build up. I'm going to turn it over. And obviously a lot of you would prefer to do it this way because you prefer to put your camouflage down first. And of course the beauty of using these is you don't have to put a clear coat down for your decals or anything, so you're not going to lose any detail. A lot of people say you don't have to put a clear coat down for decals. I always do, because you always have that chance of silvering, and once you get silvering it's hard to get rid of. Turn it over again. As you can see, yellow is a nightmare to paint, and you can see it's struggling to cover that brown and green, but it needs to cover it. And this is where I think this process is better, because here we're going to get a build up on the edge. Yes, you can sand it out, but if you sand it out you're going to lose some of the colour. Maybe you want to lose some of the colour. There we go. I think that might just be enough. There we go. So you can go as far as you want, but I'm going to leave it at that. And there's another advantage, you've got like a pre-shaded look to it. It's not just one solid colour like you get with decals. Of course, there's another advantage of these. I talked about pros and cons at the end of my last video. Another one I just thought of is quite often, how many times have we had it, guys? We get a white decal, you put it on the model and you can see the camouflage through it. That doesn't happen with this, especially not with that process. So there we go. Right. There we go. So that's our yellow done. We'll let that dry, and then we'll put this back in there, and we'll remove the blue to spray the blue. Alright, so that's dry. We'll take this off. And we can lay this down in here using the centre as the guide. We're not going to use the outside, we use the centre because it's the centre that's the most important to us. This is really difficult because it's yellow on yellow. I'm going to have to do this under the magnifier, so I'll come back when it's done and I'll take you through the next step. Alright, so that's down now. So what we need to do now is remove this ring from here. Just like so. Okay, we finished with that now. And what we need to do now is mask around the outside of here, because when we spray the blue, we don't want blue getting around here. If there's a gap anywhere, which I think there is a tiny gap there, we'll end up with a blue line around our insignia. So I'm just going to get this piece of tape here, cut it into some strips, and I should be able to, with these, just mask the outer edges of the yellow without encroaching into the area where the blue goes. And I'm going to need some more. As you can see, we'll just keep using bits of scrap tape because it's good for your wallet and it's good for the environment to keep reusing the tape instead of filling your bin up with it. Okay, so that's that. I need some more bits. Got some on here, look. So I can take a piece from there. Is that going to be enough to get us home? Nope. Another bit. Waste not, want not, eh? So that bit can go on there. So that's got us covered. So we're not going to get any blue on the yellow outside. We've got the red centre covered. So what we'll do now is remove this blue mask. And unfortunately, I've just dug the yellow. As you can see, I've made a mark in it. So remove that one, put that down on there, and then we'll spray the blue, and I'll come back when that's done rather than you have watched me spraying again. Right, that's the blue down. A bit faster pace this video. So now we need to remove this centre mask that I put down, the 10mm diameter one. So that can come out, can go down there. And then we need to remove the centre portion ready to be painted red. It doesn't want to come away. There we go. Right, so that's that centre portion removed. Now if we spray the red, obviously we're going to get red onto our blue. So we could put that blue ring back in, the one we took out, this one. But there's no point because we've got to over mask the joins anyway. So all I'm going to do is get some bits of scrap tape, the cheap stuff, put it around like that. And there we go. I'm just going to give that middle a good push, make sure it's well masked. Okay, so now the whole thing's masked off other than the centre. We just come along with a little drop of red. We'll test on a piece of paper and just get the red colour down. Again, keeping it dry, don't let it puddle, don't let it wet. How many times have I said that now? There we go. That's our red done. So we can take these bits of tape away, stick those to the side of the bench because we're going to use them again. And then we can unmask everything. You can see this is taking away these little bits I put on here because this is sliced from the 40mm tape, which isn't very sticky at all. Okay, so you can see now we've got that, we're ready to go. So we can take these bits off the outside, just like so. Get this here removed. Get this one here removed. Just like so. And take this one off. And then we're going to get under this. I should have put a piece of masking tape under this corner, shouldn't I? But I didn't. So we just get under there. We should be able to lift this one away. Just like so. That can go in the bin. and then we can get under here with a knife, get under that one and lift that one away like so. That's that one done, and then we've got this centre piece here to expose the white. Get under that, lift that one out, and there we go. And that is how to do a roundel if you want to put your camouflage down first. And it's not as flat as that one, but it's a lot better than painting the whole thing white. So there is your version B. Okay, right, so now we've done that, we're going to look at doing the big wing roundel, and I'm going to put it here. Okay, so we're going to imagine if this was a Lancaster wing or something, we would be putting the roundel in a position where we want it. And it would be, obviously, you would use a panel line or the edge of the aileron or something like that as a reference to where you would position it. Maybe I should have done this over here and then the roundel could have gone there, which would have been more accurate. Anyway, it's done now. So what we could do is decide that, say we want the edge of our roundel to be, say 5mm over the edge of that panel line there. Okay, so this panel line here, what we'll do is we'll get a little piece of tape. In fact, I'll use that little circle that we took out the centre for the red. And we know that that's where our panel line's going to be. And we want the roundel to be 5mm to the right of that panel line. Now the roundel we're going to use is on this sheet here. And as you can see, it's in a block. And it's about 50mm, about 49mm square. And the roundel is about 39mm square, 38 and something. Okay, so we know that we've got 5mm either side. Okay, so from the centre of there to the outside of there is roughly 25mm. So if I want the edge of my roundel to be on that panel, 5mm over that panel line, then I need the centre to be not 19 but 14mm over. Okay, so that's going to be the centre position of the roundel there, and the outer edge of the tape, the actual square that the thing is in, is going to be 25mm from there. Just take you back in case you're confused. The roundel is rough, say let's call it 40mm to make it easy for the maths. Okay, it's not, but let's call it 40. The roundel is 40mm. So I know that I want the roundel to be 5mm, I want this edge of the roundel to be 5mm to the right of this panel line. So half of 40 is 20, take away 5, which is the 5 I want, is 15. So if I line my rule up there, you can see 15mm, and the edge of the roundel will be 20mm. But we know the block is 50mm, so I need to hold this there and then put a piece of tape at 25mm. Okay, now there is a better way to do this actually, because I've just noticed we have 10mm tape here, so we can make a line 10mm. We can use the tape 10mm parallel to that panel line. Okay, so now we know that it's 15mm from that panel line. Yeah, 25mm is the outside of the edge of the square block that the roundel sits in. So we can butt that 6mm tape up to the 10mm tape, and then we can remove the 10mm tape, and you can see that now the centre of the roundel will be where we want it. So that's that edge taken care of. Now fore and aft, let's just say we want let's remove that little dot and put it up here. Okay, let's just say that we want the centre of the roundel to be centred. But if we say, we know the centre is going to be roughly here, so we want it to be centred around these panel lines. We've got 45mm, so 22.5 is the centre. Okay, 22.5mm is the centre. We're going to come back 25mm for the edge of the square. take a piece of tape, put that down there, and that is our edge. So we're going to put the square in there, and then the roundel will sit here. Okay, and we can remove that. Right, so what we're going to do now is, we know where the centre of that is, so that's, we've got the centre of our roundel is 15 millimeters diameter, so we know that 25, let's just get a bit of tape and mark it just to make life easy. We know that the centre is there and there. Okay, so that's where the centre of a roundel is going to be. The red bit in the middle is 15 millimeters diameter. So what we need to do is get some bits of tape and just mark, I don't know, what, 25 mil diameter? So we'll go half an inch there. We'll go half an inch there, which means I'm going to have to lift that piece of tape up. Let's go half an inch down there, there we go. Job done. And then we'll go half an inch up, which means I'll have to lift that piece of tape. Get another bit of this gash tape. Roughly there. And this is just roughly marking where I need to paint the red. And we'll put that down there. Okay, so that's roughly marking. I'm just going to put a red meatball in the middle of there, and that's going to be enough for my centre. So just like with everything else, we're going to have to mask up around here to avoid any overspray, just like so. Okay, and that way we're going to be good to go. So I'm going to spray some red in there now, and then we'll get the mask down. There's the red down, so we can remove all of this tape. I didn't want that bit to come up, never mind. I have to put that down again. I'm not going to put you through all that calculation again, don't worry. So get that piece of tape, we'll put that back down in a minute. That's where that line mark is, where I'm going to put my square block up to for the position of the, and this one is the lower position, isn't it? So we're going to leave that one. Alright, that one can go. That's our lower position of the block. Our right hand position of the block is going to be there. I've got a feeling I'm going to be overlapping these two, we shall see. But there we go, so that's that. Obviously you can see that's still wet in the middle there. So we'll let that dry. I'll go on and put that piece of tape there, and we'll go from there. Alright, so that red's dry now. We've got a tape here for our markings. So we're going to come to our masking sheet, and we're going to take our transfer tape, which is here, and we are going to put it down like so, keeping it square if we can, staying away from the edges. Give it a good rub. Make sure it sticks, and I'm going to get a little scrap of tape. I'm going to make a little scrap of tape. I should have had one here, sorry, I should have been better prepared. I'm going to lift this lower left hand corner, cut a little piece of tape, place it underneath like so, sticky side to sticky side, and then I can get under there and I can lift this away easily, and the whole thing has come away. There we go. Right, this is the difficult bit. I've now got to put this down here and have it aligned. So what we're going to do is have it aligned with the masking tape strips that I've got there, just like so. As you can see, this one isn't perfect. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to get away with it. No, I'm not. I was going to move it because I know that one's square, but it doesn't, because it's just a circle, it doesn't matter if it's not a square, does it? So there we go. So we're going to get this piece of tape here and lift it away because it's underneath there. So we get that out of the way. We'll get rid of this one just because it's not right. Okay, so we've got that there. Obviously on your model you would take more care than I'm taking now. So give that a good rub. Okay, and what you want to do now is lift the transfer tape off. And what we want is the blue to come away and we want the red to stay in place. So we can see there, before we waste anything, we can see that the red is going to be covered by that centre. So what I'm going to do now is take this here. Now you don't really need to do this, but just in case you wanted to replace it or reuse it or whatever, it's a good idea to have it on there to keep its shape. What we're going to do now is get under here and very carefully lift this out. Working from the outside in, we can see the red centre bit has stayed in place. So there we are, and then we can put this back on here and that can be reused should we want to. There we go, and now we're just going to come along like we did before with our big bits of masking tape and cover up all the edges like that to save any overspray. Getting onto the rest of the model. Dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Just like so. We'll get a big piece, put it over there to protect them, and there we are. Just rub the edge down, make sure the centre's down, make sure there's no fluff or dust on the edges, and then we can come along with our blue paint, which I have in the airbrush already. And we can paint blue. So just do a bit of a test. Lovely. And then we can put this on. And I think this is the method I'm going to use on my Lancaster because this seems to work really well because you can see how well this blue covers. And it doesn't need to be a thick coat of paint. You can see that's practically done. It's just literally dusted on. I'm sort of orbiting around it so I don't get a sort of streaks or anything in the paint either way. There we go, that's the blue done. You may be able to see something there. It looks like the red paint showing through. It's not. It's the texture of the red paint underneath the blue. Okay, so there we go. That's that done. So now we can remove this junk masking, which we can use time and time and time again. As you can see, I haven't turned the camera off because I want you to see how quick this can be done. There we go. And if we want to, we could put the transfer tape back on. And that may enable us to use this again. I'm not sure. I've got a feeling this may lift some of that blue tape, blue paint. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, then good. So we get underneath there. Lift that away. There we go, and we can see we can put this back on here. Sorry about the neighbour's dog, guys. Put that back on there. Can be used again, I expect. And then we've got to come in here and get the corner of our knife, pick that one out, and there is a roundel done, and that is much better. That is the way to do the wing roundels. Do your camouflage first, and then spray the red first, and then spray the blue on the top. There is no edge on there whatsoever. The blue is so thin because it covers so well. Because if you remember that, I've put the other one in for cleaning now, but we had quite an edge where I used the red to cover the blue, but there's no edge on there at all. You can see I sprayed that literally 3 or 4 minutes ago on camera. I haven't turned the camera off. There's no editing been done here. So that's that, and if just give it a try, just to remove any nibs or anything. There we are. How's that for a painted on look? God, these things are good, aren't they? Right, let's look at doing that funny bit of lettering now. I'm going to show you how I'm going to go about doing that, should I want to. Right, so that's all dry now and looking lovely. So what I want to do now is show you how to do this, where we've got the S going over the serial code you can see there. If you remember, when we did this one here, we had to look at, you have to think about things backwards, because we're putting the camouflage on last and you want the 3 and the 7 and the 4 to show through the band. You have to put the masks on for the black. You spray the black first, then put the masks on, then put the colour on for the band, and then mask the band, and then spray the camo. You kind of do it all backwards. Whereas with this way, you do it as you see it. So with this one, we can see that the S is over the serial number. So we're going to put the serial number on first, then unmask that, and then we'll mask the S and put the S on over the top. Whereas if we were doing it the other way around, we would be doing the S first, okay, because it's the S we want to see, and then we would be put the letters down, not the stencil, the outside, but we put the actual letters down after we painted it black. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do this the proper way, if you like. So we've got here, here's our Z3971. So the first thing to do here is always remember is you weed on the paper. So what we're going to do is come in here with our, we should really be using our little anise tweezers because they're so lovely, but for now I'll use a knife just to get under and remove these, just like so. And that's that done. Okay, and then we're going to lift the lower left hand corner, get a little piece of tape, make some bits of tape here, and then we're going to put that underneath. Oh, I've managed to push it back down now, lift it back up. We're going to push that underneath there, sticky side up, so it's sticky side to sticky side, and now we've got an easy way of lifting it up. I'm going to get my transfer tape, which is just a piece of ordinary masking tape. Okay, and we're going to place that down on here, and I want to make sure that the lower edge is visible. Now that piece of transfer tape is a tad too wide, so I'm going to take it off. Wow, I did not want that to happen. Yeah, always check the size of your transfer tape before you put it down, guys. It's a disaster waiting to happen if you don't, like I've just had there. Now I've managed to save that one, which is lucky because I've only got, if I was doing the model, I've got no spares of those. So I'm going to take this transfer tape and I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to take some off of there. I've obviously mismeasured it and made it too wide. So we'll take some meat off of there. That may be too narrow now. Get off. So we're going to put this down on here, and the thing is you need to make sure you can see the edges. Okay, so we'll push that down nicely on there. I can see the bottom edge, and that's the main thing. So now we're going to lift this away. And it all comes away with the transfer tape. As you can see, we're getting it. We're not worried about any positions on this. I just want to make sure it's perpendicular to the panel lines. So what I'm going to do here is take this mask and I'm going to offer it up to this tape and make sure that the actual box is buttered up to there. So give it a good rub down. Then we can take away this piece of tape here. That was our guide. And then we can lift the transfer tape. And the transfer tape should come away and leave our insignia behind. There we go. So there's our stencil for our serial number. And then once again, as before, yeah, you guessed it, we're going to put some masking tape around the outside. just like so. We can mask this off, and then we can spray our black paint on there. So I'll get that paint in black. I'm going to put another bit of tape here. Sorry guys, the bloody battery went again while I was talking. I said I'll put another piece of tape there. So anyway, we've got the mask down. So what we're going to do now is spray the black, and I wanted you to see this because this is partly what we're going to do when we do the stencils. You'll notice when I've done these here, I've always just sprayed directly 90 degrees to the mask. With this I'm not going to. I'm being very careful. One little thing I have picked up. If you rub those, you run the risk of catching your finger on the edge. So if you just put a piece of paper over it and then rub, okay, it saves you lifting the edges up or anything. So I know that's down now. And the reason I want to make sure it's down is because what I'm going to paint from here, here, here and here to make sure we get into all the nooks and crannies. Okay, so we're going to paint from here first. So this is just black paint here. This is XF1 thinned with Tamiya X20A. As you can see, I'm keeping it very, very dry. Do not let the paint get wet at all. And that's it. Okay, I mean, if you want to go around once more, you can, but seriously, I don't think we need to. We want to be careful of not getting a big step in it. So that's our division done. The other thing to make sure is make sure you always go right out to the edge. I've done this before and sort of, you sort of miss that top little pointy bit on the Z and you regret it at the end. So there we go. So that's that done. So we're going to let that dry for just literally a few seconds, and you'll notice whenever I do this, guys, I take the masking tape off very quickly after I've done the painting. And the reason is, it's a good habit to get into. If you leave the masking in place, what will happen is you run the risk of, you've got to remember where the masking tape is here, okay, the paint sort of formed a film across, so it's painted your model and it's come up to the edge of the masking tape. And when you take the masking tape away, especially if it's a gloss paint, if you leave it too long, you run the risk of actually peeling the paint off. So it's always good to remove your masking as quick as possible. It's not so important with matte paint, but with gloss paint it's very important. Remember that piece of masking tape I put under that corner? See what it does for me? It enables me to get underneath and just lift this away. Very slowly, lift this away. Okay, so we've got that there, we'll stick that down there, and I just need to weed out that centre of that 9. And there we go, that's that done. So there's our Z3971 ready to have the S put over it. Okay, so here's our S letters here. If you remember, this one here I actually took off before to show you something other, I can't remember what, but when I did a review, but we can see if we can use that one again and see how it comes out. So when we look at the image here, we look at our references, whatever, we can see that the S leaves just the top of that 7 showing. Okay, the top of the 7 and the 1 is visible there, and it's right on the edge of the 3. So we need to get some reference points in again. So when we look at our S, if we look at it in the horizontal plane, we can see that it's 3 millimeters from the edge of that S to the edge of the tape. Actually on here you can see we've got 3 millimeters there from the edge of the S to the edge of the box. So we're going to be leaving the box in place, obviously. If we look at the 3 is actually 4 millimeters wide. So basically when we put this down, we need to be just about 1 millimeter inside the edge. So I'm just going to put this down here, measure across 3 millimeters, just like that. Okay, so that's our horizontal. Now for vertical, we can see that the top edge of the S is about 16 millimeters from the bottom of the box, and we want to just have the top of the 7 and the 1 exposed. So if we come down 16 millimeters from the top, from having the 7 and the 1 exposed like that, you can see we've come to here. So what we'll do is we'll get a piece of this tape. And what I want to do is put this tape down 16 millimeters below. Okay, now I don't think that's square, but I know that at that point there, right underneath that 7, it's 16 millimeters. Now I can see that that is vertical, nigh on vertical, because of that panel line that's there. Okay, so what we can do now is we can weed out the S. Okay, so we do that before we do any moving of anything. And then we can take our transfer tape that I've made here previously, and I've got an S on it, ready to go. And we can place this nice and square on our mask. And you can see I've got it over the edge there, so I'm going to take it away. Okay, I'm going to put it closer to the edge here. I've probably made it a little bit too big again. I must have been drunk when I measured it or something. Alright, so give that a good rub down. We've got a little piece of masking tape here which we can use. Look. So I'm going to get underneath there. And there we go, that can go in there. And then we can get into this corner and lift the whole thing off, just like so. Now I know it needs to be butted up to that piece of tape there, and it needs to be level with the edge of that tape underneath the 7 where my finger is now. In fact, what I'll do is I'll make a pencil mark. I know that it needs to be level with the tape just there. So we're going to put this up against there. Like so. Now it's right in the right position, horizontally and vertically. It's near enough anyway. Remember, this was World War II, guys. It wasn't precision. There was nothing precision about the painting of an aircraft. Inside the engine, yes. All the ammunition and everything, yes. But when it came to paint colours and positions of letterings and code, in fact, all of this is way too tidy. If you go back and look at my Lancaster book review, the Richard Alexander one from Wing Leader, if you look at that one, you will see pictures of them hand painting these registration numbers and that. And there's paint drips and everything everywhere. So bear that in mind. So we can see there, we can see the lettering through, and we can see that that edge of that S is up against the edge of that 3, and we can see we're going to have the top of the 7 and the 1 exposed. Could have been a little bit lower down, but hey ho, never mind. So there we go, that's like that. Actually, I wonder, let's just see, as a little test. Okay, you've put it on your model, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, could have been a bit lower down. Let's see if we can get it off and put it back. Still got the transfer tape here. Put that down in that corner there. Over into that corner there. Rub that down nicely. Let's see if we can get this off and reposition it. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of tape across the bottom and have it a little bit lower down, just like so. So that's how we want the bottom to be against there. Let's see if we can take this off. We should be able to. It's an awkward shape, so there's lots of bits and pieces that won't want to come away. But yeah, that's working. It seems that once you get the edge of the tape up, the rest just come along for the ride. I'm going to come across on that one. And there we go. We've got the S off on the carrier film, on the transfer tape, sorry, not the carrier film. So now we're going to put this in again. We're going to put it, butt it up to there, butt it up to there. And rub it down. Yeah, you can actually take them off and start again. And then we're going to take these bits of tape away from here. Get these off of here. There we go. And then I'm going to lift this corner, take the transfer tape away. You can see the mask is losing its adhesion because it's been, this is 3 times now this has been stuck to something. And it doesn't want to let go. There we go. So again, we can put a piece of paper over the top, just rub it down. And you can see now we'll have more of the 7 and everything exposed, and you can see the S's up against the edge of the 3. So you can see now we're in perfect position. So what I'm going to do now, oh, we've got to do some masking around, haven't we? So we'll mask around here, just like so. I can't believe how the time goes in these videos. I was going to do stenciling in this one. I'm not doing it now. I'm going to do another video on stenciling. I cannot believe how the time goes. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm sure you're all bored to tears with hearing me rambling on about it. Right, so what I'm going to do is put a drop of white in the airbrush. Okay, or a drop of white, should I say, not white. I sound like a Bristol boy now. So we'll get some of the white paint in here, and that will give us a grey colour. Just a drop more white. There we go, we've now got a light grey colour, which is plenty good enough for what we want. It's actually a bit darker than I'd like, but I'm not going to waste any more paint on this. Okay, and then we can come along, just gently paint this in. Did I blow back? Yeah. That's way too dark. Let's get some more white in there. That's better. Right. Put the top back on here. Blow back. Do a little test on there. There we go. Then we'll just lightly fog this in, just like we've done everything else. Slowly build the colour up. Still too dark, but hey, who cares? There we are. Okay, so that's that done. In fact, I'm going to go a bit lighter. Alright, so there we go. So we can take our masking away, and everything should be hunky-dory. Remember now, this mask has been used 3 times. It's not been used 3 times, it's been on and off a surface 3 times. So if we do get any bleed, I won't be at all surprised. And if we don't get any bleed at all, I'll just show how good they are. Personally, I think they're absolutely bloody brilliant. I'm not going to try and save this one. That would just be silly. So there we go. And there is our S painted over the Z3971 with the 7 and the 1 exposed, just like it is there. Look. Where is it? Where are we? There we go. So you can see there. So yeah, really happy with that. There we go, that's how you do it. So that's how I do it, and if you do the same as me, then you should get the same result. So in this video we've covered the side roundel B version, and you can see there's no edge. I can take a sanding sponge, just like to give it a sand, and you can see straight away the white graininess coming through the blue. So probably give it a clear coat and then sand it if you want to take away any ridges or anything. We've got the roundel there on the wing, which is the method I will use in future because that is just incredible. There's no edge anywhere on that. It's beautiful. And we've got this one here. Again, just give it a very light rub over with a sponge, because what happens when you paint, it obviously builds up onto the edge of the masking tape. Much like, you know, if you pour chocolate into a channel, it will run up the sides a bit, won't it? It will capillary up the sides a bit. So chocolate or jam or anything like that. If you're hungry now. So there you go. And there's the roundel, and there's the bee. So there you go, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with me. And as I said at the beginning, I haven't got time here now to do the stencils. So I'm going to do another whole video on stencils. So make sure you tune in for that one. It will be lots of little tips and stuff with that one. And we'll have some fun. So I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.